Our next guest here tonight is competing for the starting job at quarterback this fall as BYU plays its second season in the Big 12. Junior from Corona, California, started the last 4 games of the season after Kedon Slovis went down with an elbow injury. It is our pleasure to welcome Jake Retzlaff to the Wise Guys. We've gotten to know him a little bit over the last season or so, and we're going to get to know him a lot better tonight. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for having me on.
What's going on?
Not much, just a lot of workouts. We started up, last week, and so the strength staff has made it their responsibility to make our summer as miserable as possible. It's been good getting workouts in and taking a couple classes just to keep getting that.
You went down to cool off in Phoenix over the weekend at the Fan Fest.
How was the Fan Fest?
What was that like?
It was a lot of fun. It was really cool. I mean, I still get surprised wherever we go in the country, the amount of blue that shows up in whatever stadium we're in. And to see that kind of come to fruition in Phoenix was awesome with the Fan Fest. The fans were awesome. It was a lot of fun. So it was cool to see all those guys out there. It's cool to travel with the guys on the team and stuff like that. So, I can't wait to get back down there.
There's a chance when you get out there for Arizona State that BYU fans will have taken over that stadium.
That's what we're shooting for. We're searching for a Tempe takeover.
Yeah, I challenged them, so I hope they come through.
Good. I know that they've been buying up tickets left and right, and you never know with Arizona State because they've been down a little bit, and when teams are down, tickets are available.
Yeah.
And BYU's going to buy them up.
BYU's notorious.
When you run out of that locker room, it should be to a thunderous roar on the road.
When you do a Fan Fest like that, football's obviously big represented, but the other sports are there with you too, aren't they?
Yeah, so I believe Cougarettes came at, Cosmo is the number one attraction regardless of who shows up.
Right.
But, I was down there with Dallin, Richie, and Dawson. And, it's funny because I was talking to them and we were on the same flights and chilling out in the lobbies with them and stuff like that. And it's funny how, our facilities are on opposite ends of campus. So we get such little interaction with the basketball guys. And so it's cool to be able to talk to them, meet them, and just kind of hang with them throughout the weekend and just see, that's the other sport that's in the spotlight along with football. And it's good to have those guys in those positions.
When you think about it, when you're out of your facility and they're out of theirs, you're on campus with 36,000 other students. So it is hard to, unless you're in the same class, you go your whole career and not meet the basketball team.
No, there's no doubt. You could probably easily do that now. But no, doing events, especially sports events, it's easier to meet them, and so it's nice to be able to do that and get to know those guys. I've known Dallin briefly, but I just met Richie and just met Dawson, this weekend, and so it was a lot of fun.
What do you think? What do you think the pressure is compare the pressure? You got Dallin at the free throw line with 22,000 or 20,000 to Marriott Center in a must make. You got you at the 10-yard line on 3rd down and 8 in a must convert. Who's got the most pressure?
All I know is I'm a lot better at 3rd and 8 than shooting free throws. So I'll take the 3rd and 8 all day, and I bet you, he'd probably say the same because he could shoot free throws pretty well. But that's a wonderful question. But I know that as long as we're at home, we feel comfortable. That's for sure.
You just mentioned summer conditioning is underway now, and recruiting. I think it's the last week of recruiting. So the coaches are all gone. They're out on the road. Not like Coach Gavin Fowler, because he's around.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. So some of the analysts and GAs are around, but it's mostly the strength staff that's working with you. What's that like as you get into summer conditioning, and what's the vibe like in the locker room? What are you trying to get done now?
Well, it's just work your tail off and build culture. In my opinion, one of the best ways to build culture is to do hard things together. And so these summer workouts are so vital for a team to build the team. Every Friday we have what's called the Friday Finisher, and if another group of guys was in here with me, we'd all shudder a little bit because we know what that means.
It's like when you say Mufasa in Lion King, right?
That doesn't work with the high.
Say it again.
It's got some weight to it. So just stuff like that, getting better, and then we also do these team competitions, which is pretty awesome, and we start that coming up next week. They gave us 2 weeks to settle in, and where the team will kind of elect captains of these teams. In the spring, it was 10 teams, and you each had a co-captain, and we literally drafted teams and had a competition go out through all of winter. And there was weekly winners, and there was overall winner, and it was a lot of fun. It made every workout easier, and you got more out of it at the same time because you're putting more in because you're competing with the guy next to you. I remember the big competition that my team won was a prowler push where you load up the prowler, and I think it was 10 minutes straight. Each team has anywhere from 9 to 12, depending on, injuries or something like that, guys on your team. And so you just alternate, go down the field 100 yards, turn around, come back another 100 yards for 10 minutes straight. and my team won that one, and we were going nuts. And it was like, I remember off the bat, I was the first guy to go, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna come off flying. Everybody's talking strategy, like, okay, you go 20 yards,
pace yourself.
You do this and then that. I'm like, no, guys, just push the dang thing as hard as you can until you can't anymore, and then switch. Like, it's just go fast until you can't go fast, and then switch. And I pushed that thing, and I got us out to a huge lead because people are trying to switch over there on the right. And we're team 10, so we're on the very end of the field, and so we just look to our right and see everybody behind, and we're like, all right, we got this. And so we just kept pushing, and stuff like that. It just builds chemistry. It makes it so much easier to know guys who just walked in the building. Like, it's pretty awesome to be able to do that. And so those team competitions, that builds a team, and that's something we really focus on in this summer training.
Now, you were in our green room when we were announcing some of the TV times for these early college football games. As you hear that, and as fast as life goes, do you catch yourself feeling overly eager to get back on the field in a game setting and get back to winning? Are you okay with 100 days to go through what you're talking about?
I've been eager to get back on the field since we walked off of it, since the plane landed last year back in Provo. And so, like, everybody's telling me, man, this summer's going to go really fast. I hope you're ready. I'm like, well, it can't come fast enough for me. I mean, I know a lot of guys are different. They're like, well, let me get this training in. Let me do one thing at a time. For me, I'm ready to get back to it. I think that our team had a great urgency in spring ball. We're going to carry that urgency through, summer training, and we're going to right into fall camp, and then here we go. And I'm excited to get this thing going because I'm excited for what our team's going to be able to put on the field this year.
And you got some experience this last year. Your debut game comes against West Virginia on the road. And how long did it take? You're out there. This is Big 12. Was there a point in that game where you go, whoa, these dudes are bigger and faster and scarier, not necessarily scary, but bigger, faster, more athletic than the guys I was playing against last year? And JC, sure. Did you feel that at all in that first game?
Sure. I'll tell you what. It was the first. It was my first throw. It was a field out to Cody Epps. It wasn't my first throw of the game, but it was my first read throw. I would say I had another throw to Keelan that drove a PI or something and a little screen pass. But those are no really reads. Those are pre snaps. Just chuck it. This was a post snap. This is my first real read of the game. And I sailed it way over his head because I thought about it too much. And I was like, all right, I got it out of my system. Let's just go play ball. Go. At the end of the day, they got to it's the best thing to tell any team that's an underdog at any moment is they got to put 11 out there just like we got 11 out there. Just because they're a top team in the country doesn't mean they get a 12. You know what I mean? So that's just the mindset I always have going into a game against whoever. It's well, now let's just be better than their 11 and just go out there and ball. And so, I would say that was the play that I had in my mind that was all right, I'm over it now.
Just got to settle down. That was it. It's different, but I got to settle in.
Sure, it's different, but I've played ball for my whole life, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this. There's a reason I'm on the field. It's not, you know what I mean?
Dave and I can, we both remember a play. So we're playing against Pittsburgh, who had just won a national championship. We're number 2 in the nation on the road in our opener in 1984. Robbie Bosco's the first-time starter. I'm standing next to Mike Holmgren, the legendary Mike Holmgren, our quarterback's coach. And Robbie's first throw, he's trying to hit Glenn Kozlowski in and out. And it literally goes 20 feet over my head and Holmgren's head into the 6th row. Yeah. And Holmgren very quietly, he looks down at his play sheet and he just looks over to me and he goes, yeah, that wasn't good. I go, no, that was not good.
Yeah. I feel that feeling 100%.
And he ended up winning a national championship that year, so it was all good. Yeah, it's okay to overthrow that first one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Get it out of your system.
When you're the quarterback, you're the star, and sometimes the star shines really bright, and then sometimes the star gets some teaching opportunities and moments. No doubt. We're going to talk about a couple of those because I think setbacks, and we've all had them, reveal so much about us and teach us so much about us. But when the Iowa State game is your home debut the next week, that first series, you roll out to your right and get picked off. And no one knows what's going on in your helmet in that moment, but everyone feels the way they feel. What's going on in your helmet in that moment where you go, one, you're coming right back out. Yeah, because they're going to score and you're back out on the field. But what was that like for you? You want to be awesome in that setting. Yeah. And so when it starts like that, what did you learn?
That throw came from a lot of background to that mistake. You know what I mean? Any play in football, it's not just me throwing it to the defense right there. It's a lot of things that go into it, of course. And so that was just me trying to play hero ball. But after that play, you come to the sideline. And I'm going to break a rule right now because whatever happens on the headset is supposed to stay on the headset, but it'll be cool for this. So I get back on the headset, and I'm talking to one of our guys up in the box. And
Matt or A-Rod?
Matt. I was talking to Matt. And Matt just lets me have it. And it was Matt to a T. Like, Matt is one of the most competitive guys I've ever met in my life. The guy is so good for, like, a defense and diagnosing plays and stuff like that. And he is letting me have it. And I'm like, I forget what he said. He was like, "What are you doing?" And that's like the worst thing he could have said to me, because I'm like, well, I'm not trying to throw it to the other team. Like, I'm trying to score a freaking touchdown. Like, and it was funny because I like just responded with some similar energy, and it like put him in check. He's like, what am I doing? I'm just yelling at this guy for like, we got to go back on the field right now. And it reset us. So it's kind of a funny moment, and it was a great moment between me and him that we'll probably remember forever. Just like that one you said. But when you have anything like that, and we had something similar happen in, the Oklahoma game, right. It's the worst play so far, but everybody says it's their favorite play of me, and I'm like, well, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
After a play like that, you're just like, all right, well, whatever, flush it, let's get back on the field. And there's just like, I feel like in those first two games where they were not pretty for the Cougars out there, and nobody liked to watch those games, and those games don't get turned on in very many households these days. But you just got to take it, learn from every single mistake, learn from everything on the field so you can be better the next week. And that is something I think our team did really well at the end of the year, is we learned from West Virginia, we learned from Iowa State, and what did we do? We went out and went head to head with one of the top teams in the country. I think they were 14 when they came to our place, and we had the game, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think our team did a good job of that last year, and it's why we're so eager to get back on the field this year, is because we fell up short in the West Virginia Iowa State game, but then right after that Oklahoma State, we went over there and we showed them, oh, these guys aren't just some Mormons from Mormontown. These guys can play ball. Like, it was just so inspiring to the team, and it's why the last loss hurt so bad, and it's why we had to sit through however many days it's been, just sitting on our butt, and everybody talking about 4.5 games. 4.5 games is the number one thing on our mind right now, because like, we know that that's complete crap, and we showed it in those last 2 weeks, but people still don't believe it because of what we did the 2 weeks before and earlier in the year. So it's just like those games, man, if you can learn from them like we did and go against Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and show what we can do, it's like, all right, let's come back with that energy to start with. And when we come off the year, when you guys see us start the year like we finished it, competing at the highest level with the best teams, it's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to be out there. And that's why this weight is itching at me.
It's excruciating to wait, right?
Yeah.
Jake Retzlaff with us on the Wise Guys tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned that Oklahoma game and the play. There's plays that occur, especially when you're new and a new player, where you just go, okay, here's what I just learned about that. And there's literally mistakes you'll never make again.
No doubt.
Because you learn. But you have to make that mistake to go, okay, I get it. I get how that looks. I get what I'm supposed to do. That won't happen again. I think sometimes fans don't understand.
They don't. And I tell that to our young quarterbacks. I'm like, guys, the number one thing you have to do is never make the same mistake twice. Now, it sounds weird because there's a lot of mistakes to be had in a game like this where the other team is literally trying to stop you from doing everything you're trying to do. So there's a lot of mistakes to be had, but you have to never make the same mistake twice. And that's such a big thing with coachability too. Like, and with our young guys in the room, I try to tell them that, and I'm like, dude, just don't make the same mistake twice. And if you look at the tape in the last couple of games, it was like, that was all I tried to do. And that was all that ended up happening at the end of the year. And it's why we could be so successful at the end of the year against really good teams, is because we're not making the same mistakes we were making 2-3 weeks ago.
And you carried it into spring ball. I mean, Aaron mentioned at the end of spring ball, because they keep every little, they're like, hey, guess what? Jake just went through the entire spring practice, did not throw an interception the entire spring practice from the things that you learned in those 4 games at the end of the year. Am I right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and having that much time under my belt under the offense and being able to go out there with those guys with a year under the belt makes a huge difference in this offense. I mean, I remember seeing a stat last year when I committed and I came here. It was like there'd been the only first-year quarterback to succeed well in this system was like nobody. It was like Zach did it okay. Like, it's just really hard to be successful in this offense.
You know who struggled? John Beck, as much as anybody.
John Beck, when he was in his first year, I was like, oh, and John knows I've said this. I'm
Steve Sarkisian went 6-6.
I don't know if John can play. And people are like, why? And I'm like, it's a phenomenal arm. I love his work ethic. He seems really, really smart, but he keeps putting the ball on the ground. Like, every time he gets hit, he fumbles.
Yeah,
he can't play if he keeps doing that. Well, guess what? He didn't keep doing that.
And he had a lot of success.
And his senior year, he may have been as efficient a college quarterback as I've ever seen his senior year, right? Because he fixed all those things.
Yeah,
right?
And that's exactly what it is. And Zach did the same thing.
Yep.
As much as great as Zach was at the beginning of his career, it wasn't that great in the beginning. And that's not a bad thing on Zach. No. That's just growing throughout college football. And now Zach's going to have a great career where, in Denver, has to get a new opportunity now.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope he gets a new life over there.
He will, and he's going to be a lot better. If you look at the tape last year, it's not as bad as everybody's making it sound.
But the Jets' offensive line was as bad as
they're
they
just
looked
as bad as everybody says.
That's no question about that.
Yeah, but no, and like you said, that's the thing is it's hard to be successful in something that's so new and so deep and complex. This offense has so many different variabilities to it. And one example for that, for me personally, is like in junior college and in high school, I took a shotgun snap 99.9% of the time. I think I took like one under center snap for one special play action play we ran my JUCO year, and I hit the tight end across the field for 20 yards. But like coming here, understanding how to play under center was definitely a jump for me. It was something that if you talk to Matt or A-Rod, it was something I had to work on for a couple of weeks, last year in the spring. And now I'm talking to Matt in meetings. I'm like, dude, can we put more of that stuff in? Like, it's working really well. Our hard play action is working really well against our defense right now. And it's just amazing for me to look back and have to have some perspective. Like the work I was putting in back then, struggling, hoping he wouldn't call under center. I'm like, call it. Let's
do
go.
This now.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just so awesome to be able to like look back, and be like, okay, these are the steps that you're taking every day, and every day you are taking steps. And so it just comes back to don't make the same mistake twice. And it's easy to say.
Hey, this is, by the way, we're breaking in here. This is a Wise Guys First as Debate says hello from Chile. That's our first.
Oh, yeah. We had,
live streamer from Chile.
We're in the Philippines. We're in Colombia. We're in Japan.
Now we're in Chile.
We're in Chile. How about that? That's pretty cool.
We've got Jake Retzlaff, BYU quarterback on the Wise Guys during his Cougar debut. Started the last 4 games of the season, threw for 648 yards, 3 touchdowns, also ran for 3 scores. And Christian has a question for you. Is BYU going to be using headsets in the helmet this year, and how will that change and impact the game?
Yeah.
I love it so much. We got to use it in the spring because it was okayed. We had some foresight. I got to give credit to our equipment guys for that, to have some foresight and put it on our helmets this spring. And it's awesome. It just expedites communication. The old way we used to do it, if those who don't know, is the headset, A-Rod would tell it to the quarterbacks on the sideline who would signal into the offense. So it's kind of like you're playing telephone.
Yeah.
But now A-Rod's just saying it into my ear. And so it's so much quicker, so much clearer.
And is it as clear like this? Thinking. Hey, Jake, we're going to run this.
It is that clear.
And what about when you're in hurry up and the receivers are out there? It comes to you. Do you just have hand signals that you're going to give to the guys?
So the way we're doing it right now, we have, our offense can be fast. We don't always want to be fast. Right. Obviously, we have fastballs, which is one-word plays, which means we're going hyper fast. So if we're going like a fastball, for example, it's going to be as simple as he's telling me. Now, we're still going to be able to use signalers because we can use that for the perimeter. So basically, he's telling me the play. I'm going to tell him the O-line and the running backs, coincidentally, because they're standing right next to me.
Right. Well, LJ told us he used to ask you everything last year.
Yeah, LJ, as a young cat, he was doing that all the time. But it's funny because Hinkley Rapati figured this out like towards the end of spring ball, that he would literally that we'd call a sugar huddle where the 5 linemen stand right in front of me. They're all looking at me, and then Hinkley would be right behind my shoulder.
Yeah,
and he's like, look at the signals, but he's leaning in so he can
hear what he's saying.
Yeah, because then he could just hear it from me, and it's honestly easier for him. And so it's cool to figure out the different nuances of this. Like, yeah, the running back's probably going to be part of that sugar huddle, which you wouldn't think of that before,
right? Because
they would be just looking at a signal. Instead, they'll be part of it, and so it's cool to have that. So the one-word plays, they'll tell me our signalers will still have the one signal for that, but I'm screaming it. Like, our one-word plays, our fastballs, we're going. I'm yelling at the receivers, we're running this. You know what I mean? And we have so many different fastballs that I dare a defense to try to pick up on one of our words because we got so many. And so, like, other than that, we still have signalers for the perimeter.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can be fast to the O-line. The O-line, now Connor Pay loves it because that guy can get his calls so much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he's waiting for me to see the signal. I got to make sure I saw the signal right. Now I tell him, and now he's got to get up there, and now he tells, instead of it's in my head right away, I can just tell him his key words after A-Rod told me to play the first time, and now I can hear A-Rod tell me to play again, and I can just watch my guys get set and know exactly what's going on. It's pretty awesome.
That's great.
So if A-Rod wants to calm you down, he can just pump in some air supply.
Can he also say,
I hope he does.
Can he also say, here's the play, and oh, by the way, from up here, it looks like the free safety's cheating out of the middle of the field, so take a look at that post.
So the beauty of this communication is it's just words. It's not hand signals, and I got to read sign language. It's just, he goes, we're running Y cross, check flat over dig. That's your read.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's that simple.
Do you know how nice that would have been when I was playing for it? Like to say,
right?
Because sometimes you see these things upstairs, you're like, every time we run this, free safety cheats to the strong side of the field. Watch the backside post. Yep. If the guy runs out of the middle, throw it. Yep. I would love to have heard that in my head.
We'd run a lot of the same
Blaine
plays.
heard a lot of things in his head.
Yeah,
it just wasn't
when I heard Glenn Kozlowski
and
Mark Bellini telling me, by the way, I'm open every single play.
But you're on a time limit too, though, right? Don't you get about like 8 to 10 seconds?
No, so it's 15 seconds 15? On the play clock remaining. So basically, depending on the run play, it'll be 40 seconds. So he'll have 25 seconds to give me the play or snap of the ball. So whatever comes first. So he can't be talking to me mid-play if we snap before 15 seconds, which would be a whole
That'd be
event.
really awesome. No.
He accidentally said something in the headset one time. It was Gary was up. I think it was 7-on-7 this spring. And it's one of our dash plays where you could just take the hitch. And he just says, hitch, and his finger was on the button, and Gary was like, what the heck? God.
I hope Gary threw the hitch. Did he throw the hitch?
He wasn't sure.
Yeah, I think he did throw the hitch, but like any quarterback, he's probably already thinking it anyways.
He thought that was divine intervention.
Yeah, literally. We're not up there blind. So it's like A-Rod seeing stuff is going to be great, but we're seeing a lot of stuff too, and he'll give us indicators. It's like we run so many we'll run similar concepts out of different sets, and that's the beauty of our offense is how we can get to so many different plays through different motion shifts, different formations. And so like if we're running a similar play that we ran earlier in the game, he said, hey, that deep safety cheated low on this play. Peep the take post.
Watch that. Yeah,
it's that simple. It's
he doesn't get. It's not two-way, right? He doesn't get to hear from you, so you can't go.
Say, pipe down,
coach. That was a terrible call.
You after the play, you can't say.
You can't give him feedback.
That was horrific advice you gave me on the last play.
I'm thinking about hand signals. What expletives I can put in a hand signal. Coach.
How much is there to? So Darius was on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about basically there's so many of us trying to learn this offense at the same time that there were times that we were all lost. Did you feel that, son, last year?
No doubt. I mean, and like I heard you say earlier about Darius knowing everything, it's like, and that's where I am at the quarterback position. Like, there's one playbook that you need to know as a quarterback, and you got to know what everybody's doing, and that's why we got to have a mind for the game like nobody else on the field. But the depth of each thing now we're the next level. There's levels to this stuff, and that's why guys like Tom Brady Peyton Manning were so great. It's not because they threw the ball that much better than anybody. It's because they knew what was going on all the time, and they knew every possibility. And so knowing that in this offense, and that's the reason you come out of a spring ball and be able to throw no interceptions, is because you know what's going on. The game is slowing down. The more the deeper the level the game's slowing down, as you guys know. And so having another year in the offense, that's what it does. And that's why, I'll tell you what, all these BYU quarterbacks who had a lot more success in their first year is why they did have so much more success in their first year, because they're not taking level 100 classes anymore. They're on level 300, level 400 classes. You know what I mean? They're deep into their major at this point,
Right.
And so, like, that's how I felt this spring. And that's why, I mean, the thoughts I had this spring were so different than last spring. Last spring, I'm like, okay, I got to think about, he's running that route, then he's running that route, he's running that. Now I'm like, okay, I know where my guys are going to be. Now let's find what their guys are going to be and where I'm going to be in the pocket. And so, I mean, the way I can describe it best, the difference between last spring and this spring, and why I'm so excited for this year, is because last year I was just trying to be a quarterback in this offense. This year I'm me in this offense. And any quarterback in the country will know how much sense that makes. Like, you feel like yourself. You're moving with your own movements. You're playing with a little swagger, more confidence. It makes all the difference in the world, because you're like, all right, I'm owning this. I own the result of this game, the result of this play. And when you do that, and then you get receivers who are also doing that, you can make some things happen.
Now, for the record, no BYU quarterback ever started against 4 P5s.
That's right.
And
especially in their first 4.
Yeah.
That was A-Rod's point of confidence in me. He said, listen, nobody has done that before.
So you're judged differently because they're big games, they're conference games, and they're games everyone wants to win. And a lot of folks just look at the result and all of that stuff. But in reality, and I think you hit it best just a moment ago, in reality, it's this learning process that, you're drinking out of a fire hose.
Yep.
It's hard to drink out of a fire hose if anyone has. But
I've
a garden
never even
hose,
tried
you
it.
can
I've
just
heard the thing,
bring
but
it
I've
right
never
down.
tried
And now you get a chance with Southern Illinois instead of Southern California to start in this junior year. And we had Gary Bohannon on the show a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And he had some great things to say about you. You've had great things to say about him. In a quarterback situation in college football, you need 4, it seems.
Yeah, you never know.
You look at every team goes through one. And so how do you feel about the quarterback room with you and Gary going head-to-head, knowing that each of you are going to need the other one?
Yeah. As the room as a whole is bizarre because of the turnover in the last year has been unbelievable. I mean, you go back to a year and a half ago, there's nobody left. And, before my group came in, which there was 4 of us came in, and then now even, 4 more came in, it feels like. It's been so crazy, the turnover, which it helps us all relearn the offense. And so there's no real questions that you should have asked 3 weeks ago because we all know them, which is kind of an interesting thing because everybody knows when you're in a meeting and you're like, I should know this. I don't really want to ask it because coach can be like, you should know this. You know what I mean? And there's none of that, which is kind of cool because we all started from scratch from, a year ago max. And so to be able to, like I said, there's so much in the learning curve. We're all so close. Now, the year makes a huge difference, no doubt, but I get to know what I was feeling a year ago, and now I can relate that to the guys who are learning it right now. They're in that position a year ago. Yeah. And when you talk about a guy like Gary, I mean, he's incredible to have in the room. This he's awesome. I mean, the dude is on his 13th year of college football, which is pretty cool.
He's a former Big 12 champ.
Yeah. No, but and the best thing about it is he gets to balance our veteran kind of presence and our young guy presence because you're always outnumbered by the young guys and you are the old guys. So that's cool. And he's the way he approaches the game is pretty great. Also, I got to learn a little bit from him this spring and the way he's looking at different things and stuff like that. And I mean, it's cool to have a guy in the room who's done it before, a guy who's been in the pocket before when stuff doesn't go good and when stuff does go good and how he does these different things and to be able to bounce things off of him is super great. And I think he's been able to do that off of me really well because I've been in the offense already, and as he learned it, the cool thing is he's also been in this very similar offense before.
Right, we're under Jeff Grimes down there, right?
And so it didn't take him a long time to learn it, and so he didn't need to be handheld through it, and so that's why he had the success he did right away. But no, he's a great dude. I love having him in the room, and we'll be able to feed off each other so much. We can, back each other up with so many thoughts and so many feelings about what's going on. The funny thing about the great kind of tradition of quarterbacks at BYU is we don't actually have a quarterback in the building who played quarterback or a quarterback coach who played quarterback. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting when you talk to Matt, he played receiver. When you talk to A-Rod, he played receiver. Yeah. Now, those guys have big brains for the game. There's no doubt. And they know a lot of ball, a lot more than I will ever. They've forgotten more than I'll ever know. But it's still interesting to have the perspective of another quarterback who's been in it before. And
sitting right next to you.
He's sitting right next to me. It's like, Coach, we can't. That's not possible, Coach. You want us to go full field read back to the other side. You know what I mean? And so, not that they're asking us to do that crazy things, but it's like, yeah, Coach, we can easily do that. Well, he might be thinking, this could be really tough for you guys to get across through this. Look, if you see this, you got to switch. No, Coach, we could do that. That's fine. It's when you're asking us to do this other thing that you're crazy
you guys maybe
for asking.
You maybe talk to each other and you're just like, hey, Gary, this, what they're asking us to do on this, can you do that? Because I can't. He's like, I can't do it either.
Yeah.
And then
let's figure it out.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah.
You need to teach us something else because we can't do that.
Yeah.
There's some strength in there.
No,
right?
There's 100% a feeling of that. And it comes down to whether it's routes on air, where we're all taking the same rep back to back to back, we get to feel it off of each other. And having a guy like him, his footwork has kind of opened my eyes to the way footwork is. I've always been thought to myself, especially as a young quarterback, I got to be cover ground with footwork and be really fast. And what he does that's so cool is he's smooth as fast. And you won't see him cover a lot of ground because a lot of times you don't, especially when he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to cover a lot of ground and footwork within the pocket. And so it's cool to be like, okay, he's simplifying it for himself. Whereas maybe in the past, I've tried to do too much in the pocket and my feet are now not underneath me because I'm trying to move too fast. He's simplifying it and moving around in this way. And I'm like, that's something that I picked up when he kind of first came in, was doing routes on air, and whether it's a hard play action footwork or whatever it is he stays in his base really well. He doesn't overextend and stuff like that. So like, oh, that's something I should do instead of just trying to be the hero and make the greatest play action fake in the history of football and a play where it doesn't even really matter. You know what I mean? And so that's the, you know, one thing off the top of the head that I kind of picked up from him, and you know, maybe he picked something up from me.
Sure.
Yeah. But I mean, he's seen a lot of ball. Like I said, he's an old guy, and I make that joke with him plenty enough, and so he's cool.
Let's a few more questions with Jake Retzlaff. Macy Taylor's going to join us in a few minutes here on the Wise Guys, as we have a star-studded show. Let's talk about your receivers. And last week, we tried this with Micah Harper, and we had a lot of fun. So we thought, hey, you know what?
Oh, no.
Let's throw it to the quarterback. We're going to give you a question, and then you answer it with one of your receivers or tight ends.
Gotcha.
Okay? So the first question: who is most likely to become a U.S. Senator?
Oh, geez. A U.S. Senator. Cody Epps.
Oh, yeah.
Mike had him as the President of the United States.
Yeah, well, Cody.
If we're going up to President, then yes, Cody.
Well, we just go with Senator.
Okay, well.
But it was the same guy.
We call him Mayor of Provo every once in a while. So.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, who's the most likely to pick up a lunch tab if you guys all go out to lunch?
Who's going to pick up the tab? I would say they're going to throw it at me. No, I'm just kidding. Man, tight ends too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, a guy who doesn't Tava Taase. He's like the dad. I mean, he is a dad, but he is totally the dad who will pick up that tab for sure.
Tava Taase?
Mavatase, yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, he'll block too.
Oh, man. That's what I mean. That guy enjoys it so much. Like the Oklahoma run I had to tie the game late in the game going in the north end zone, he was lead blocking from him, and Isaac Rex were both. And that guy loved that play. Every time we ran it in practice, he was like, dude, follow us. We're scoring a touchdown. I don't care. And so that's what I mean. He'll pick up the tab, and he'll go pick up that block.
Awesome. All right, who is most likely to name drop at a team meeting?
I would say a young cat like JoJo or something like that.
Oh yeah, when I was talking to such and such today.
Yeah. JoJo for that one?
Phillips?
JoJo Phillips, yeah.
JoJo, okay.
All right,
here comes another one.
Okay, who's most likely to tell you how open they are after every single play?
Keelan.
Keelan is?
So Keelan's the Glenn Kozlowski of his team. So you've probably never heard the name Glenn Kozlowski.
I don't know if I have.
You need to go look him up.
He was a stud. All right.
Played 8 seasons with the Chicago Bears at wide receiver. He was our star.
Nice.
Who is most likely to catch an imperfect pass?
Oh, Darius Lassiter.
You just go get it.
Oh, that guy's going to go.
Darius, Chase might say, hey, what about me?
Yeah, it could be both, but I'll go with Darius with this one. Have you ever shook his hand?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It's like he's got oven mitts on.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by he'll catch.
I'm so excited. Like after having Darius on the show, I'm so excited to see him this year, because after he was telling me about his mindset last year versus this year, I'm just like, this dude's going to be so much better this year.
Yeah.
Because he's a crazy athlete with this huge catch radius and these giant hands.
He had a really good spring. Tell you what.
I'm really excited to see his game progress this fall.
BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff on the Wise Guys tonight. Cougars open the season August 31st against Southern Illinois at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. We think it's under the lights, but we'll find out next Thursday when the kickoff times are announced. Yeah,
you guys got to let me know.
He's saying night. I don't know. I think it will be too.
Feels like it'll be late night.
We're always the late night game.
Yeah, but August 31st is
that's okay.
It's hot in the day, so late August night.
August football in Utah, it's hot. Let's do night.
A lot, Jake, has been said and made of your Jewish faith and being the quarterback at a predominantly Christian school. Do you like that? That's that big of a deal?
Sure, I appreciate. I mean, it's part of who I am, so I'm not ashamed of it in any way.
Right?
So
no, and I don't mean that. Cool. I just mean it's a thing.
And, it is a thing,
and that's okay being a thing.
I'll admit, sometimes I'm like, let's just talk about ball. What are we doing?
Sure.
But other times I'm like, yeah, it's definitely a big deal, especially in today's political climate. It is kind of a huge deal. So I wouldn't say it's overplayed. I can imagine it would be overplayed, way more overplayed in other situations at other schools. Now, BYU, of course, being a religious institution, is it's easy to kind of be a big factor in who I am. But I mean, like I said, I don't mind it being as big as it is, especially today's days and age. Like, I feel like I was talking to somebody about, there's the big story about how Sandy Koufax didn't play on Yom Kippur, right? And then he ended up pitching Game 7 World Series and he won the World Series. And people have asked me the questions, have you thought about that? Well, it's a funny thing that, like, interestingly, it doesn't get brought up because we do play on Saturdays, which is the Sabbath. But I tell people my Sabbath is simply this. I get to go out on a field and play in front of millions of people, repping my faith as proudly as I possibly can. Is that not Sabbath? I mean, is that not the perfect thing to be doing on the Sabbath? Is to be 100% yourself in front of all these people? Like, I love that I can be that beacon of Judaism in front of all those people. I love that ESPN put that graphic up, and then somebody made a meme of it, and that was all over, Instagram or whatever. Half my, friends are sending it to me. And I was like, that's so cool, because now there's kids on campuses like UCLA where all this crap is happening. They get to be like, okay, something good's happening. You know what I mean? There's not enough good news in the world, period. So might as well be some of it.
Yes.
And so that's what I love about it, is that is good news, that there's a Jewish starting quarterback at BYU. That's good news, because maybe some thought that was impossible, and also maybe some thought that the Jews aren't doing too well right now, because frankly we're not. Israel being in the state of war that it's constantly in, and even worse now, and the political climate all over campuses in America right now, it's unbelievable. And I'm so grateful to be at a place like BYU where they're nothing but supportive, and it's so awesome to be that, and to be part of that and be part of this institution. I'll tell you what, I've been so grateful for BYU to allow me to have this platform, to allow me to be faith oriented, and allow me to grow in my faith. Because coming to a school like BYU, it's so faith oriented. Everybody's talking about it. It's part of class. I take religion classes, and I was in a religion class where they pray before every class. We pray before every meeting. You know what I mean? And so it's like, well, it's so much easier to grow in your faith when you're around people who are of faith. It's that simple. It's like, surround yourself with people who you want to be like, because you'll become like them. And that's kind of how it's been. I've been able to grow in my faith as a Jew. And so, sure, maybe I sometimes can get tired of it, but I'll tell you what, I just take a step back and I'm like, no, I'm not tired of it, because I get to do something that people get to look up to. I get to see the DM in my messages like, hey, it's so awesome to watch you play. I'm so happy you're Jewish. So am I. Like, from a kid who's 12 years old, like, who knows where, people, especially on the East Coast, is where you get the highest population. But it's like, you just get the unlimited support from these people who, like, maybe didn't know this was possible, and now it's possible. And so it's incredible to be in the position I'm in, and to be able to share my platform and use my platform to spread this positivity, spread this light.
Fantastic.
That's great stuff.
Mark Comer of the Royal Blue Collective was with us a few moments ago. How important has the Royal Blue been for you?
They've been incredible. And I'm just going to echo what I know so many people have been saying about the opportunities that they provide that is outside of the financial support. Like, to be able to talk to the guys that I get to talk to is just like absurd to me. Like, if you told me 3 years ago that I'd be in the conversation with some of these guys, I'd be like, yeah, whatever you say. Yeah, you feed me a bunch of crap. But it's like, it's so true. And the network at BYU, I can't stop talking about it, because sure, I heard it when I was getting recruited, but I didn't really know what it meant. What does network mean to a 17-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about the world but thinks he knows it all? And so I've just been so grateful for it. There's just guys all over the place that are just like, man, I'm here if you need it. I'm here if you need it. I had breakfast with Justin Kiesel, who's the head of global sales over at New Skin, and just had, ate in his office and just got to chat with him. And, he's a guy who's been in the football world and is just so supportive of guys like us. And so it's so awesome for that. And you guys earlier were talking about, like, be able to do your taxes with the guy. Like, I did taxes the day before tax day because my roommate was going over to the tax guy's house and he invited me. And so I was like, yeah, I need this. So I went right with him and got it done. And so it was great. And so, like, the network around BYU, the support around this program is just unbelievable. And the collective has just amplified that and made it so much more accessible, because it's one thing to have a network, but it's another thing to be able to tap into it fully.
A lot of feedback on the live stream. Amen to a number of things that you've been saying, and Cougar Nation's excited to see you play. Are you ready for 5 questions? This is everything that we've said. This is different than what we asked you before.
This is like, and Macy's going to have to do this too. So
yeah, listen up.
Don't Macy, don't listen.
Okay, so here's 5 questions that are going to reveal a lot about yourself.
Yeah, and you just answer them like the first thing that comes to the top of your head.
Your teammates are no longer the target here. Right. This is all about you.
Your favorite sports movie?
Oh, remember the Titans.
That's our number one.
Hoosiers has got to be second.
Yeah, I think Hoosiers is 2.
Titans.
Moneyball is a close second, but I remember the Titans was one we watched, like, my youth football team. We'd watch it as soon as we were coming up to the season. We all go over to Coach's house. He'd have a projector in the backyard. We'd lay our blankets out and watch Remember the Titans in the backyard.
It is a classic.
Awesome.
And when I'm clicking through, I have to stop.
Still gives me
Hoosiers
goosebumps.
too. Somebody came on and said, "Bring it on." I'm like, "Bring it on." And they go, "Yeah, the cheerleading movie." I'm like,
Yeah, that was a first.
Come on.
So favorite singer or band?
Zach Brown Band.
Zach Brown
That's
Band.
kind of old school.
I bet you that's like a first for you guys.
That's the first Zach Brown Band. I
Yeah,
think.
that is the first.
I love it. It fits the California vibe for me. You know.
Okay.
So I like it.
All right.
Your favorite breakfast cereal? Now this is important.
Okay, only one answer.
Yeah.
The goat of all goats. There's not even a question. It's Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
No,
I
that's-
thought you were
that's-
going to say Captain Crunch, but
He's
we
a
went to
Captain
Cinnamon
Crunch
Toast
guy. I'm a Cinnamon Life guy.
I've never
Which
had
is it's
Cinnamon
not
Life.
that far
I've
off
never
of Cinnamon
heard
Toast Crunch. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is a little sweeter, so I get it. People that pick really healthy cereals,
They just think they're better than us, so they can. Just,
Macy, don't listen to this. So
Let me tell you what my wife did the other day.
Well,
and she
she
doesn't
doesn't
know,
know.
and she's listening, I think, and she doesn't know that I know that
she doesn't know that I know she's gonna now.
she's going to now. So
She probably does.
I
She's your
like
wife.
I like Captain Crunch. I like it straight, right?
He doesn't
I
like with crunch
I don't eat crunch
berries
berries.
or,
Well, anyway, some crunch berries came into the house somehow, and they just sat there. And I ate either Frosted Flakes or Fruit Loops or whatever because I'm 10. But the crunch berries just sat there, and then all of a sudden, in the container of the Captain Crunch, one day the crunch berries were gone. And it was just the Captain Crunch. I think she took the crunch berries out to get me to eat the rest of the Captain Crunch.
She separated the crunch
I think
berries?
she did. I think she did. And the reason I could tell is at the bottom, when all the sugar comes out,
It was like the red and
it
blue.
was all the colors. And I'm like, I see what's happened here. But I ate them. And I don't know where the crunch berries went.
So
but
to
I
Diane,
think that
can
was
I say
it was unnecessary and unrequested.
that's a labor of love right there.
But it was
100%. I was going to say his wife loves them.
But whose favorite cereal is one that cuts the roof of your mouth? Which Captain Crunch absolutely would
Look,
do.
once you get a couple calluses up there, you just
Okay. Your favorite sports moment doesn't have to be at BYU. Favorite sports moment ever?
Wow, that's a really good question. Man, I don't think there's a moment that I can think of that. Oh, I'll go with one I had in junior college.
Okay.
It needs a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
So I played at Riverside City College my second year, but my first year I played at Golden West College. Now I live in Riverside County, and Riverside College was the closer one. My brother had already been there. And so when the prospect of me going there was probably good, it was like, my brother's already there. I can go succeed there with him. I can play with him. The head coach said, we don't need him. We already got 7 quarterbacks. And I said, all right, whatever you say. They were the number 1 team in the country. Going in that year, I went over to Golden West, who was not a high-ranked team at all. Never was. We're 3-0 going into game 4 against Riverside, number 1 team in the country, at their place. They hadn't lost a home game in 10 years.
Oh, nice.
I like where this is
I
going.
like this story so far.
Yeah, so this is so the setup is why it's such a great story. I played out of my mind. I played so well that their coaches thought we had their practice tape. They thought we knew their signals, their plays. We thought we cheated our way to victory, but in reality, I had the game of my life, and so did the guys around me, and we played. And I ended up going for 500 yards, like 5 total touchdowns. No, it wasn't 5. It was like 350, 5 total touchdowns, and we ended the game in victory formation. And right after the game, my dad, who was a football coach for 25 years, he knows how to get on a football field because he's a football coach 25 years. And he ends up on the field at the end of the game, and I have an incredible picture where I give him the biggest hug I've ever given in my life, and that embrace was like so special to me. That is my favorite moment of sports, football, of my career.
That's awesome.
It was the beginning of my story in proving those wrong, because I came in COVID where I didn't get any recruiting. I had to go to junior college where like recruiting is still not great, especially when the transfer portals started coming out. And so it was the beginning of like, all right, all you guys said no to me at a high school. You said no to me, all these times. At camps, I was never looked at. At the Elite 11, I was with the group that was just the guys that were never even looked at. At all these things, I was never looked at. And I was like, all right, this is the beginning of proving all of those guys wrong, all those people wrong. And in that moment, the more I look back on it, the bigger it gets to me. And so that's why I love that for my favorite sports
That's
moment.
a perfect,
Great answer.
great moment. So,
All right, number 5.
yep. Favorite thing about BYU?
Man, that's a really good question. I'd say the community. As bizarre as Utah County is, the BYU family is unbelievable. It's touchable from anybody else's perspective. I don't think there's much like it, where the unrelenting support, the fact that you can fit 65,000 people in that stadium and not give them a drink of alcohol, and it's the loudest stadium in the country. It's just unbelievable. And not that the alcohol is that important, but that's just like the love and the support that surrounds it is so authentic and so great that it's just irreplaceable to me.
The great Jake Retzlaff. We look forward to August 31st.
So do
Probably not as much as you, but it's got to be a close second. Because Cougar fans, this is how they mark the passing of time.
If you need an old quarterback that's been there, you can always either walk upstairs to the 3rd floor and talk to Robbie, because he's just up there. He's probably not doing anything either, so he'd love you to stop in the office.
He's golfing if he's not there.
If he's not in the office, he's
golfing with him.
You know what, Robbie?
Picked it up.
Robbie and I'll play with you. We'll take you.
Let's go.
Come to Robbie.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
So, or you can always come over to our house and talk for a while. So
sounds good. You guys are probably cool enough to get on Riverside Country Club, so I got to join you guys.
Yeah, Dave and I are both members over there, so you can come play with us.
Sweet.
So
let's go play.
Anytime.
During COVID, we really took it up, and then the last couple of years we've been so busy we haven't played much, but.
Well, I got you an excuse, so let's go.
Yeah, we'll come. We'll take you out for sure.
All right, we're going to let you go back to the green room because you're going to come back and we'll do a Q&A for Cougar Board here in just a few minutes.
Thanks so much, Jake.
Jake Retzlaff, we look forward to seeing the Cougars. Hey, are you starting camp the last day of July, or is it into August for fall camp? With the early start of August 31st, is everything up a week? Or is it still
so it's
early
4
August?
weeks of camp. I know that for a fact.
I think they're going to report. I think we were just trying to go through this. Yeah, the first.
I wonder if the schedule.
The game is August 31st.
It is 31st. I know it's 31st for sure.
Yeah. I think you guys are probably
going to 4 weeks.
You're going to report. They're going to probably report the 31st of July and start camp on the 1st of August. That's my bet.
I could see that being the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll start. Yeah, that's what I see happening too. It'll.
Yeah.
Regardless, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Regardless, whatever it is.
Okay.
Hey,
we forgot about this, right?
Before you go, the Cougar Board question of the week, which is different from what we're going to do later. But I just found out this question's actually for you.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you're not familiar with Cougar Board, and our audience is growing more and more familiar with it, the largest online community of BYU fans with thousands of posts daily. I've got my Jets shirt there because Zach was still on the Jets. He's off the Jets, and yet I'm still wearing the Jets.
my Red Sox shirt on, and he's got his Jets shirt on.
I got to get rid of the Jets thing. Acadian8 from one of their insider subscribers. Tell us about summer workouts. Are they just 7-on-7? Are they structured? Are they officiated? And how many players show up? So basically, what's going on in the summer with the team?
So first thing is strength and conditioning workouts times 10. So this is where you see the biggest improvement in guys' strength abilities, speed abilities. And so what's awesome about it is you get some guys come to fall camp that have just developed so greatly, especially the young guys, that you're like, oh, this guy could make a big impact this year. And so hopefully we see that this year. But other than that, we have what's called player run practices. That'll happen as we get closer to camp. And so basically I get a script and we run out there and we run through this X amount of plays. Now something that who did it when they were here? I forget. I think it was McMahon or I forget. One of the quarterbacks who was here, he hosted a 7-on-7 every Saturday. Or no, he hosted 7-on-7 like every week during the summer and said, defense show up, offense show up. Let's go have some competition every Saturday because we're tired of just strength and conditioning all day. And so that's something that I really want to do. It's something we didn't do it last year, but I really want to do it because I want to bring the competition aspect to spring. And now we get that with our strength and conditioning program, but I think it'll be good for us. Obviously, be smart with guys. Like, this is not fall camp. Let's not kill each other right now. But
no Achilles issues, no nothing.
Yeah. Don't be yanking on people for no reason. But still, let's go run routes against each other. Let's have our safeties and corners see routes in front of them. Let's have our receivers see coverages in front of them. I think that's going to be really good for us. So that's something I really want to do. I've already talked to a couple of defensive guys about it, and they're all in on it. It's just about getting guys there. So that's kind of leading into the next part. When it talks about how many guys are there, everybody's there. Like, it's summer training. It is mandatory. There's no question about it. Now, they do have to give us a certain amount of time off, so we'll have a week off. We'll call it discretionary period at the end of May. There'll be one in the beginning of July during July 4th week. And, you find out which guys aren't going anywhere and are going to stay in the gym and work hard because they want to succeed a lot. And usually that's a lot of guys. So you don't get a lot of guys leaving during those weeks, even when it's discretionary.
Right.
But yeah, and so when it comes to those player run practices, still everybody's going to those because that shows a lot. And they're not optional. They're mandatory. And now there's no real way for us to punish you about it, but there is.
Everybody goes.
Everybody
when
goes.
When you get to this level, everybody's committed.
Exactly.
Or they're out.
Exactly. They'll weed themselves out so fast, and you see that when you if there's a kid who you bring in like a spring ball or something like that, and you could just tell that they often don't even make it through spring ball. They do something like hit the portal, give up football or something like that. You know what I mean? And so at this level, these guys are so committed that they'll all be at these player run practices in the summer.
All right, that's a great answer for the Cougar Board question of the week. You were just down with John Beck. Are you going back in any off time? Are you going back to train with him, or are you done with him for a while?
I'll probably see him hopefully early July.
Just for some fine tuning.
That'll be the last fine tuning because camp will start at the end of July. I just looked it up. The report days are the 30th.
30th.
And so, I'll tune it up with him. His kids are now old enough; they're going to be playing. They're going to be at the camps out here in Provo.
So he'll be up.
And so he'll be up here. I'll be able to throw with him for about a week. Hopefully, I'll get him to stay as long as he can. Awesome. Because I'm always grateful to whenever I get to work with him.
Hey, just so you know, Jimmy Mack, because I played with Jim for a year, his senior year, 76 NCAA records. In 7-on-7, he used to say, the goal should be 90% completion. There's nobody rushing, for Pete's sakes. If we go below 85% in this drill, then I will kill all of you.
He said to the quarterbacks?
To the whole offense.
Yeah.
To the 7 players on offense, all the skills. He's like, 90% should be the goal in this. Nobody's rushing. If we go below 85, I'll kill all of you.
That's Jim McMahon.
That was what his expectation was in 7-on-7.
I don't know how connected he is to BYU anymore. I hope we can get him for an alumni game or something. That'd be incredible.
I
gotta connect with that guy.
Yeah. You haven't met Jim yet?
I have not met Jim. That's one guy
you met
that
Steve at the alumni game.
Met Steve at the alumni game this past year, which is pretty awesome. He gave me some great advice. Max Hall is another one I got to meet. Yeah. People who have seen me play, have felt me play, they say that my grittiness is a lot like Max and Jim.
Yeah, you know what? We have to figure out how to get you together with Jim. He comes up once in a while. Let's see if we can get him up here this fall.
Yeah.
We're working to get him to come up for the alumni game next year. Steve and I were talking about it.
If he can just sit there and throw passes. He's not as mobile as he used to be.
Well, neither was Steve, and he threw a touchdown, so I don't want to hear it.
That's right. That's true. All right, you're back to the green room.
All right, thanks,
Jake Retzlaff,